So I said we'd come back after those 3 games had played. However, the league table looks like this going into the last one. We could be in the top group, we could be at the top group. It all comes down to this game. Based off recent form, any remote tough away game we lose, apart from Genk. So my money is on that we drop points. We probably lose the game. But we might still get in as long as the 2 teams below us don't win. And who does Standard Liège and Ghent play? Hopefully each other. Absolute bail out of jail, that is. We might have just got away with this because they play each other. That is a title that's just saved us, I think. The chances of that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take that, I think. Well, I cannot believe it. We actually won the game. 3-2 away from home. We concede so many chances each game. Doesn't matter who the manager is, it seems like. I do feel like, though, that we've had a better overall record and more consistent record with Marco Silva than Cesc. We did finish 5th in the end, too. And all of a sudden, you're 6 points off of winning the league. Like this league system is actually quite funny. We're never going to win it because we cannot sustain wins, well, in a row. We definitely can't win more than 2. We can't really win away from home very well either. But we've won that game, right? The only reason we won that game is we scored a penalty, and then what I presume is a set piece late on, and that's it. So there we are. I've got to be honest though, like if a bigger club than us came in, offered him a manager's job, Marco Silva, I'd probably just let him go, because one, the compensation would be great for us if he left. And he's done well, but he's not doing well enough to, like, wow me so far. But if in the summer or somebody comes in for him, I probably would let him go at this stage. If he starts off the next season really well, then I'll probably fight to keep him, but we'll see. See how that all turns out. Right, so the only player I'm making him play is Garcia right back. That's the only thing I'm making him do right now. And he's got much better progressive passes per 90 than Rafael Heller, but Heller has then got more open play key passes, as we're not on the main view, but there we are. So, Dribbles Penalty goes to Garcia too. I think as an orthodox fullback, Garcia's a better option. Garcia's also got 80% tackle win ratio to Haller's 69. So there you are. You're sort of buying up to date with how things are going. The manager also doesn't ever do a friendly between these 2 matches, and there's a 20-day gap. So I'm probably going to make one friendly for him here. And if he wants to do another one beyond that, then great. Hopefully he does do one for once. But okay, I guess we'll carry on then. We'll carry on, and I guess we'll do the same thing as before, right? We'll go a few games at a time. We'll try and do 3 at a time. So I'll go Anderlecht, Club Brugge, Westerlo will come back. Standard Liège, Genk, Bruges will come back, and then 2 and 2. We'll probably do something similar for this one. And we'll also have the youth intake coming up pretty soon too, although that seems to matter less and less each year as that goes by. So we'll go through those games, we'll have the end of season review, and we'll have a little bit of analysis on how the team has done this year. It's a bit different, this one, combining 2 different managers with the same stats, but it'll be quite interesting to look at the first stage versus second stage of the season and see how the team improved, if it did improve at all in terms of just raw points, goals scored, goals against, all that kind of stuff. That'd be the easiest thing to look at a snapshot, at least, anyway. But okay, I'll see you in a few weeks. Let's see how we get on in the first 3 matches of the championship group. And I mean, if we were to come away with 7 points, we'd be in a chance for the title. I still don't think we'd be able to do it because there's too many away matches. Like, I mean, there's an even amount of away matches to home matches, but basically the only way we could win it from this position is if we had every game at home somehow, and it ain't gonna happen. So there we are. But anyway, the title isn't really what we're looking at, is it? It's just any sort of European football, for the love of God, is what we need. So see you in a few weeks. Let's see how we're getting on. But we've actually won 2 out of 3. The only game we've lost, right, was away to Club Brugge, who are clearly the best team in the league and the top of the league right now. That's the only game we lost. The next 3 matches, we have Standard Liège away, who are bottom of the group, then 2 home matches. Let's see what happens after the next 3. But we could be in a pretty good position. However, we almost need to win 2 of those. We need probably 7 points to have a good chance of getting into Europe. And the reason I say that is because we have 3 away matches late on in the season, which means we're probably going to have a poor end to the season. Now, actually, who won the cup? It's Anderlecht versus Westerlo. We probably want Anderlecht to win that because Anderlecht, well, are likely to finish above us. But in any case, whoever wins it, it is somebody in the championship group this time. So, I mean, I don't want to say this really, but I'm going to say it. My gut feeling, I think that we are going to finish in Europe this season, based on all of the things I've just seen. But let's see what happens. The last game's in April. Oh yeah, youth intake. Well, I mean, I was just going through the next gen list here. I was just going past it in my inbox, and I realised that Westerlo, in our division, have got the #1 winner of the Next Gen Awards, and then Genk have got somebody finishing 4th. Who else in our bloody division's got them here? Is there any more? Another one here? Are we like the only team without one? What's going on? So no wonder it's getting difficult. It'd be really sad, wouldn't it, if Manchester City came in and bought all those players from those teams in Belgium? That is your intake for the year. So it's a good intake. A few players there who might be good enough to be depth players. Nobody outstanding again. I just thought I'd show you it anyway. That's what we've got. Yeah, the minimum contract for those youngsters in Belgium is £400 a week, and it's quite a lot of money for some youngsters. So I don't sign that many, to be honest. The kind of save we're doing as well, there are so many different types of FM saves you can do where you can focus on youth. I think it's quite nice to have one that isn't really focused on youth too much. Here we go then. How did we do in the 3 matches? Let's see. Okay, so 2 defeats and the win. That's probably going to put us in a bit of trouble, I would have thought, going into those last few matches. So not a good set of 3 matches there. Let's take a quick look at on a Club Rouge are top, aren't they? Let's have a look at the Standard Liège away game, because that's the worst team in the championship group that we just lost to away. I mean, the thing is, though, what's a positive thing? If you're going to lose the game, we've got a few players up by the looks of it here, or at least the right winger's different. But we stopped them creating chances. They did not create a lot of chances against us. And we created almost 1 XG away from home. That's better than when we were losing with Cesc. That would be like 1.1 XG for us and 3.1 for them. And we would lose 2-0. And I feel like that long term, this will get us a better chance. And Oviedo was playing up front, so we didn't even have our striker up front either. So that's 2 of our starting players down, has made us probably lose that game. I think that if we have just one of them, probably got a better chance of winning. And then the Genk game, we won this one 2-1. Didn't play too well in this one either, though. The number 10 was out for this one and the right winger. So again, we had 2 players out for this game too. In fact, we had 3 players out. In fact, 4 players out. First choice left back is different. Centre back, we had a lot of players different in that game. So there you are. What's really weird is he's not. It's not that he was out. He's actually just playing the wrong players again. He's just playing this player in for no reason at centre back. So for these last few matches here, I'm just going to make sure that he is picking the correct centre back partnership is that. Like, that's what he should be selecting. That's the first choice. The left back is marginal. I don't really care who he picks there. Pivot players, he knows who he's got to pick there. I think wingers wise, like Cerdes has to play on the right. Like, this is clearly what he should be selecting. I mean, Hidalgo's injured, so is Lincoln. So Lincoln will be back for the next one. But let's make sure he's picking those players there for the next couple matches. Okay, so we managed to get a draw and a win from those 2 matches. So we'll start off with the win against Anderlecht. This is quite an important win because they're above us in the league and doing pretty well as well. They had a pretty good run. Our possession's nowhere near what it was under Cesc, but we're a lot more consistent. I think we're a better team, to be honest. Centre backs, I mean, Langas still played, so the other centre back must have been out for this one. But yeah, now and then Oviedo had to play because the striker was out. Then we drew this game 1-1 against Westerlo, which is a bit more disappointing. We conceded a relatively late equaliser. The game was pretty even in terms of chances. So first choice centre backs are back together. Cerdes didn't play well. Lincoln didn't play well either. Just a couple of poor performances in that game. So I would expect us to probably win that game. And would that be enough to get us in now? 4th would get us the playoff. Okay. Right, okay. I'll see you for... Okay, we'll go past the next game and we'll see how things are looking for the last one. Hopefully we get a win in this, so we need to win this game against Standard Liège. It's a must win. We lost 2-0. I don't believe it, man. Team's blown it. Again, no chances created at home. Same story. He can pick who he wants for the last match now. Right then, last game. Let's see how we get on. 4-0 win, but wasn't enough. The 4-0 win away to Genk meant nothing. He picked the same team I would have made him pick anyway. Apart from the number 10, who I assume is in there because of injury. And we give up a lot of XG. We created XG too, though. I just want to get into the transfer window now, to be honest. Like, the review is... Half of the season is from Cesc. I mean, we'll have a quick look at the review. But to be honest, this might be an episode where we do a little bit less of the review. I almost want to start the next season to see if he is going to be an improvement or not. Because if he's not, I'm going to get rid of him straight away, the manager. We're going to move on immediately. Because I feel like the team is easily good enough to be getting the results that it should be getting. But anyway, average possession, we were second. We'll go through some of this. In possession metrics, we'll take a look at non-expected goals. We'll look at non-penalty expected goals for. We were 10th in the end. We actually scored 9 from corners this time, which is quite funny. Chances created were 10th again. So if we can get a manager that can get us like top 5 for those two metrics, that'd be great with this style of football. Conversion ratio, we're actually quite clinical this year. That's the first time we've been anywhere near that. So that tells you even more so how its chances created, right? That's the issue, because we're actually converting the chances now. That's really good. Final third passes for when we're getting into the final third, okay, we're doing pretty good there too. Dribbles per game, we're top. I think that's because they have wing play as the tactical style and they're using winger roles more often. I think that's a combination of those things there. I don't really care about the clean sheets generally. We're going to be looking at XG against. We had one of the worst records for XG against. We really went backwards on that. And I mean, that was under Cesc, right? We all saw that. That was Cesc that did that. Final third passes against, we were 6th. Finances, net spend, we were 14th again. And team salary, we were 7th. Very quick review. I mean, like players-wise, like our number 10 scored 12. Our wingers seem to do okay. What I feel like it is that when we have two pivots, right, the AI managers that we're getting are using two genuine pivots. They're using like DM, defend, deep line playmaker support, for example, where I think what's been quite clear, especially this year with the striker being relatively clinical, the wingers doing pretty good too. What's really clear to me is that we'd be better off having at least post rotation. So once the rotations kick in the game, we need to have two number 10s. So that could be in a 4-2-3 formation's fine, but this player's role here probably needs to be something different. The first half of the season, we were like mid-table. Second half of the season, before the split, we were slightly improved. Championship obviously was all the same manager. But look at the fixtures there. I mean, when did he come in? He came in after that game. So if you look at this game, no, you think, what did he do? Yeah, it was that game, wasn't it? He won his first game, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I think that over a larger sample size would have got us higher in the table than if you look at before. But it's only marginal. But also, in the game, obviously, we're hiring a new assistant manager, but if we're on a slightly bad run, the players aren't getting a new manager bounce when we do that, because the game obviously still thinks that, because as far as the game's concerned, we're only changing the assistant manager, not the actual manager. Whereas I wonder that if the team was in slightly better form, if Marco Silva would have done even better. That's my gut feeling, is that he would have done. I'm not going to do a super in-depth review this year on the stats, right? But I do want to look at a couple of positions. One is wingers, and I want to look at my 3 wingers. Right, so dribbles per 90. We're looking for 4.14. Got 2 players above. Hidalgo slightly lower, and his cross completion is worse too. Okay. So far, based on those 2 stats, Hidalgo is the problem, if you want to say it that way. Open play key passes. Hidalgo is lower on that. We are looking 4.5. He's the lowest by quite a distance. Chances created per 90. He's the lowest on that as well. And then progressive passes, he's the lowest. Shot on target duration conversion ratio, though, he's higher. So he does balance himself back out a little bit. But creation-wise, he hasn't done that well, has he? So based off of that, I probably would look to sell him. Because Frank Cerdes had better metrics here, but he was a slightly bit lower there. They do balance each other out pretty well, but that's quite a significant drop if you look at all of those. Like, cross completion of only 8. That's half of what we would expect. Twist penalty is low. Open play key passes, I mean, he's almost like half of that as well. That's not good at all. And then chances created per 90. That's quite a worrying couple of stats there from him. But then he has been good on this. But he's only scored 8 still. 3 assists. I mean, I think that he has to go for that. How much would the intermediary get? He reckons that. Okay, I'm going to ask for this. I'm going to offer him out for like 11. We'll do that. Right, that's the first thing I wanted to look at. I also don't think this guy's that good either. And if he's worth that much money, how much should we spend on him? 4.8. Can we get our money back on him? Oh my God, no. I mean, if I could get like 3 million back for him, I would take that right now as well. We'll look for some new wingers in the summer. And then the other thing I want to look at is number 10s. So this is the number 10 view. We need to get that up here. Okay, so we'll look at expected assists per 90. We're looking for 0.23, and he got 0.14. Open play key passes per 90. We're looking for 1.6, 0.68. That's just terrible. Chances created per 90, 0.48. Sorry, 0.40. We're looking for 0.58. That's slightly low. Progressive passes, he's low on that. So on all of those, he's quite low. He has got pretty good dribbles per 90, though. Maybe not perfect, but he has got pretty good. And he did score a few goals. So probably would let him go if we could get a replacement in. The benefit to him is that at least he scores goals. He's clinical, right? And again, I just feel like in a 4-3-3, having him next to somebody else would be better. I think 4-3-3 is a better formation for us to go for, but that would require removing the manager. And there isn't really, I mean, Arturo Vidal could be looking for his first job, but I don't think we need to be removing the manager right this second. But it's something to think about maybe if this doesn't go well. And for those of you that blamed me for Rui Faria not working out, he's gone on to have 2 different jobs after us, and he's been sacked for the poor league position in both. So we'll move on. So now to prove that you're right, it just says it on the screen. And I know we didn't make it into Europe, but yet again, I think it was clearly the manager's problem again. Eventually, we'll get a manager that works out. But it wasn't really all Marcus Silva's fault. Marcus Silva's definitely got a year, I think, to pretty much do what he needs to do. I really wish that I could just change the rules of my save here and just get Villas-Boas, but we can't. I made it very clear at the start what the rules were. We have to match the reputation, and not being in Europe is just a killer right now, is what it is. Looking at other players that are worth quite a bit of money, I mean, yeah, Hidalgo could be a decent player to remove. If I get a good goalkeeper that I can find, João could also potentially be one that goes. Matthias Pereira's worth 7 million. I mean, the current manager doesn't even know if he likes him as the first choice, so we'll try maybe get around 3.5 straight up for him. Because we can easily find a backup left back for like 1 million or something. That's not a problem. Noah's got a bit of interest in him. I probably would let him go. He wasn't great, was he? He was okay. I'm going to offer up the goalkeeper, I think, and see what we can get. Like, if we can get like nearly 10 million for him. Yeah, okay. Offer those players out. What I'll make sure I do as well is I'll make sure that I do the end of season review here. But because of the lack of... I'm feeling pretty sure about just going through the whole transfer window together and doing this in one episode. But yeah, well, we've got no money to spend again, apparently. We have to sell to buy yet again. Well, apparently we're going to spend a lot of money to enlarge the stadium, so I guess that's a good thing. 10 million for Hidalgo, but with a percentage for the agents. We're going to try and see if we can get just that straight up for him. Okay, so we've actually brought in 2 of Marcus Silva's staff to make sure that he's happy this time. We managed to bring in his goalkeeping coach, his fitness coach and his goalkeeping coach to make sure the coach team are all together. I've been able to offer some players out too here. We've been able to get Pereira out for either 3.5 or 3.8. He's got 2 options there. He's definitely going to go. That basically puts us back into the positive for transfer, doesn't it? So that's basically what that transfer does. And there isn't too much of a gap between him and the other left back, apparently. Hidalgo, we managed to get an offer for 11 million straight up with no percentage going to the agent from Sporting, which is good. And one of our youngsters might go to Rangers for 450 grand plus 20% of the profit of his next sale. Apparently, we can get 2.1 million for Andreas Muller here. I mean, yeah, we'll take the 1.63 now. We're not going to wait a whole season for that. We'll take that right now because we might need the money. That instantly gets us close back to being in the positive for the budget too. Lincoln finished second for the top goal scorer award. I mean, he did have a really good season, to be fair. And he's the player that I'm not interested in selling because it took us a long time to find a striker. And he'll have at least one more season with us. Maybe he'll stay for one more season and we'll let him go because he'll be 27. Might be a good time to try and look for another one. But yeah, for another season, he's definitely going to be staying. He had a really good start to the season. So, Jose Salcedo here. He's a player who did appear in the player search first. So he did appear in the player search the way that we normally and have to find players. He did appear there first, but with a smaller sample size. So I thought I'd track him as the season went on. So that's the reason why we can, at least if you're playing by my rules, we can take a look at him because he did appear in the player search first, which is where they have to appear for us to be able to sign them in this series. So just taking a look at his stats closer now. His draws penalty is slightly lower. Again, we don't really worry about that too much. Sprints per 90 are really high. When only 13, he's got 18. Open play key passes per 90, he's above that. Chances created per 90 is above that. Progressive pass is slightly lower, but he's good defensively with his tackle-in ratio too, and he's not terrible in the air, not amazing either. I think he's a really good option to try and bring in at right back, so I'm going to try and sign him, and we'll offer them maybe... Oh, not yet, because we've got no budget, right? Have we got wages, though? Can we offer him a contract? We could offer him a contract. We'll offer him 500 grand for him. Try and get him for £500,000. He looks like he could be a pretty good option. So what I've done is I've actually offered out Rafael Haller for what is it? We signed for £500,000. He's got 2 offers, 1.6, 1.2. So either way, make a profit on him. The reason I keep both of those accepted is that I'd rather let him speak to 2 clubs and let him potentially take that lesser one as long as he goes. I don't really care as long as he goes, rather than make sure he only gets to speak to the 1.6 and then he turns them down, and then you can't sell him. Because I sort of need him to go, really. The extra bit of money we get for him, plus the wages off the wage bill, will be quite useful for us to bring in this new young player who could be in a really nice little battle with Garcia for the first choice right-back spot. So that's what we've done so far. Hidalgo has agreed to join Sporting, and we're going to get £6.25 million from the transfer fee. The goalkeeper's had an offer accepted for £9 million, which would be quite interesting to see if we got that much for him. And Salcedo managed to get an offer of 1.1 million straight up front accepted. They wanted like 1 point plus and kickback, and here's another kickback. And I said no bollocks to that. Just all up front is fine, and they're going to accept that. And relatively low wages too, which is going to be good. We'll put him up to definitely squad player. I think he'll probably start, accepted that, and we'll reject that, so he could potentially start immediately. Jose Salcedo is going to come in for £1.1 million. That's a good sign. I think that might be. Haller has gone out too for his £1.5 million. That's good. Manchester Sal Pereira for £4.5 million. That's a pretty good deal considering he bought him for 925 grand. That was a good signing, wasn't it? Good bit of business that. 4.5 million into the transfer budget. Okay, it is time for the Moneyball Scouting part of the video. The most important part and the most fun part of the entire episode and the entire video. The reason we're doing it slightly later this time, not too much later, a little bit later, was that, I was waiting for the end of season review to come through. And I don't know if I missed it or it hasn't come through yet. But in any case, I normally do the scouting before it. Anyway, we normally come across that video and then we come across that later. So we're going to do the scouting now anyway. And we're going to see what players we can find, starting off with strikers. Jesper Uneken here looks pretty good. 10 goals and 14 starts. In the Spanish First Division, so a pretty decent level of football. Minutes per goal, 127. Shot on target ratio of 63. Conversion ratio of 29%. We're not really looking for a striker, but we are looking for somebody that if we were to get a good offer for our current striker, we needed to replace him. We need to make sure we've got somebody good lined up, ready to go right. That's going to be somebody we'll definitely take a scout and see what type of striker they are. And gotta be honest, probably the only striker that I've seen there that would be worth looking at. Okay, so we have a winger here called Matisse Samois, plays in our own division. His dribbles per 90 are going to be low because I've lowered that already in case of the role. Cross completion is high, which we're looking for that. Now, here's the creation part. Open play key passes per 90, bit low on that. Chances created per 90, pretty good on that. And progressive passes is good too. And he's also, though, the crucial thing is, he's slightly better at these things than Hidalgo. But crucially, he's also good at his finishing and conversion ratio too. Just doesn't get too many opportunities to shoot by the looks of it. Okay, Lazar Mitrovic plays in our division, incidentally. Plays in our own division again. Dribbles per 90 is good. Cross completion is good. Open play key passes is relatively good. Chances created penalty is good. Progressive passes slightly low. That's the reason why he wasn't appearing before, was his progressive passes weren't quite as high, but his chance creation is above what we're looking for. So he's definitely an option to bring in. Who does he play for, actually? He plays for Lommel SK. We'll give him a scout too. Right. Potential out of this world transfer. Ian Subiabre, I'm not sure I pronounced this, plays Argentine Premier Division. Right, okay, ready for this. 11 goals. First of all, what a start. Dribbles for 90. Lower, but could be the role. Cross completion, above. Sprints per 90, above. Open key passes, marginally lower. Chances created per 90, bit low. Progressive pickup passes, low. But shot on target ratio, conversion ratio, extremely high. So we've got a bit of this, and we've got a bit of this, but lower on this. So he's the opposite option to the previous player. We're going to give him a scout as well. That's another option, similar to Hidalgo in profile, really, but younger, maybe more potential. And then right at the bottom here, Gabriel Silva. Gabriel Silva, we've got dribbles per 90 of 2.91. We've got cross completion of 18%. We've got open play key passes being slightly low. I mean, chances created are just so low. Considering the I don't care who he's wanted by, I just think that he's just too low on his chances created for us to want to sign him. And if you are going to be low on your chances created, a bit like Hidalgo is, and you've got to be excellent, you've got to then be excellent here, and he's just not, I'm afraid. It won't be him. Okay, number 10s. Patrick is the first one we're going to take a look at here. He has got a expected assists of 0.25. That's actually pretty good. That's actually the first player I've seen in a long time that's got above what we normally look for. Open key passes minorly below. Chances created per 90, though, is above. Progressive passes per 90 is very, very close. Conversion ratio and shot on target ratio are both very good as well, which is good. Dribbles per 90, a little bit lower, but that's fine. He looks like he's probably the best option we've got so far. And he might be the only number 10 that we can see. Okay, so taking a look at pivot players here. The very first player that comes to the list is Tom Leco. I think that's how I pronounce this. Looks a pretty decent player. He's in our own division. So don't forget these stats in our own division. Open play key passes of 1.22. Really close. Chances created per 90. Above. Progressive passes per 90. Above. Passes completed per 90, above. Pass completion slightly lower. But that's what we need. We need somebody who has maybe slightly less pass completion, but is a bit more progressive and looks to be a bit more aggressive with their passes. And also for both these things, he's got a dribbles per 90 of 1.01, which means he does take the odd attempt with the ball to dribble with it and stuff. So he looks really good. Unfortunately, that is pretty much it, though, for pivots. Okay, look at some wing backs then. For the left-hand side, we've got Hijiri Kato at left back. We've got dribbles per 90 of 1.55, a little low. Cross combination of 19, that is above. We've got sprints per 90 of 13.63, that's almost bang on. Open play key passes, we are slightly below. Chances created by progressive passes, the most important one of those three, I think. He's a little low on. Good at tackling, pretty decent in the air too. So not a perfect option, but be a nice player to look further into and could be backup if needed. Which I think all we need actually for left back this year, if we need to do, if necessary, because we've got a good left back anyway. Now, Nicholas Ibarra here, dribbles per 90 of 1.16. Progressive pass is pretty good. He looks really good, He's only 18 years old, 17 appearances in the Chilean First Division. He could be a really good option. Might be more of a defensive type wing back, but he's, I don't know, we'll sign him and find out, I guess, because he looks like a pretty good option there. He's good across the board. I mean, if you're going to be more of a centre-back profile, you're not going to dribble as much, but then his sprints per 90 are really high. Open play key passes is almost bang on. Progressive passes is pretty good too. We're going to give him a look. Fullback here called Ryan. He has got a tackle win ratio of 93%, which has caught my eye. Open play key passes is above the metrics. Progressive passes pretty good too. He's definitely going to get a look as well. Could do the right side of player now, I guess. Oh no, we've already signed somebody, haven't we? We've already signed somebody for the right side, but there's Naeem here who's not played too many matches. Only the 7 starts and 5 sub appearances, but he's done it in our league. He's only 19 and he is homegrown, so he's going to be worth somebody to take a further inspection of two. So looking at centre-backs, before we even touch any of the metrics, Jason Rojas, I think that's how we're going to pronounce this, he looks immense. Tackles per 90 of 2.41. Tackle ratio of 78%. Key tackles per 90 is low, which that is why he gets on base stat for centre-backs, which I think centre-backs have actually been pretty good with so far. But apart from that, he's good at everything else. So maybe he might be a good different type of defender to bring in, but we'll definitely give him a scout. Wanted by Granada, incidentally. Right, 2 players back-to-back here. We have got Alfred Veliz and Maro Ulloa. Or Ulloa, I'm not sure how we're going to pronounce this one. Chilean First Division, Argentine Premier Division, both top tiers of their countries. Tackle win ratio 74 and 88, quite different. One is close, one is way above. Tackles per 90, both of them, well, again, one's above, one's really close though. Key tackles per 90, both of them are significantly, well, they're not significantly above, but they are above. Interceptions per 90, both are slightly low on that. And then looking at possessions, another important one maybe to look at. We're above on both as well. I mean, this could be 2 great young defenders. And header-1 ratio, we're slightly below on one and above on the other. I think that could be a great partnership to sign, like together. I'm going to scout both of them. And it could be that we sell Gonzalez. His contract is up in a year, right? And I was thinking about whether I should offer him a new contract or sell him. I think I could sell him here, bring both of those 2 young defenders in, and I think long-term that will set us up better off. So let's try this. How much could we get for him? So yeah, I mean, I'm going to take this. Right, let's go with this. Let's offer him up for that as well and just get the ball rolling on his offers. He's got 1 year left in his contract anyway. I could offer him a new one if I wanted to. I mean, if I got one of them, I'd be happy, but both would be amazing. Baton Ballo in the Italian Serie B, 25 years old. Tackle ratio is great. Key tackles is pretty good too. Looks pretty solid across the board. He's going to be an expensive but match ready, or, you know, I was going to say title winning ready, but we don't know what that looks like really, do we? I would have looked at Bright Ari Mb, but he's on wages of 29 grand a week, so that's a non-starter for us. And I think that's going to do it for our Moneyball Scouting. So we'll go and put some offers out now and see what we can do for the transfer business. And I might look for a goalkeeper as well, just in case we have to sell the goalkeeper. We have got currently an offer out on him for £9 million. Okay, so they want a lot of money for Ulloa, by the way, to Rosario Central. But I am about to get £7 million for Gonzalez. 7.5. So, I mean, obviously we're getting somebody with a lot of potential. I mean, to hit those stats that he's hitting at 19 in a decent division is quite incredible. We'll go with that. Okay, so Ulloa managed to get signed to on 13 grand a week, but the agent insisted on a £13 million release clause. That's still more than what we're going to buy him for, but, you know, it's not ideal, I guess. Still got £10 million currently left to spend, with also potentially £9 million for the goalkeeper and 7 for the centre-back. And the goalkeeper depends on whether this guy signs for us. This young goalkeeper had unbelievable stats for his team, right? However, since I've gone in for a contract for him, of course, FC Porto under 19s, Benfica under 19s, all the Portuguese youth teams apparently are in for him. Obviously, it's the first team just going to play him in the youth team. But if we get him, I'm going to definitely make that trade. He apparently is a half-decent goalkeeper too, according to the scouts. So he's got a decent amount of stats. They think he's not as good as Gonzalez. Oh, and he's not taking it. I don't believe it. He was our last hope for goalkeeper. I mean, Andrew's come up in the list, right? Okay, so he wants a lot of wages, which is going to be a problem, but maybe that. If he takes that, we'll probably do the trade just because of the amount of. It's only like what, 5-ish grand more week in wages, and it's going to be though £2 million up front for the goalkeeper, and selling one for 9 is a pretty good deal. And we need to make the money right. Lots of teams want Haldasar. I'll tell you what, if somebody gives me 2.5 up front, we'll take it. They want him quite a bit for him, don't they? Try and get maybe 8 million. I'll take that. We've got Ajura in. That's one of the centre backs in. That's good. Apparently Manchester City wants him now. That's how good he's been. We'll try and get him down to like this. Get rid of that. Okay, I'll take that. Right, what I think I'm going to do now is you can sort of see this is what I've got planned to do. These are the players potentially that are going out and might be going out. These are the players that might be coming in. Got the goalkeeper. I mean, Rojas, I'm not sure about, to be honest. Like, because we've got 2 of the centre-backs coming in. But he was like the match-ready one for 3 million. That's a pretty good deal still. I'm not sure that one might happen. Patrick is a good deal. This guy might end up being somebody we can get for like around £1 million, which would be a really good player to have as a backup striker. But we'll see. I'll see you in a few weeks anyway. I'll see you for the first game of the next season. We'll go through and see what else we can do. My other current things I'm looking at, I want to get this pivot player in. They wanted a little bit too much money for him, really. Maybe we'll just give them that. I don't really want to give too much installments away, really, but yeah, okay, we'll go with that. We'll see if we can get these transfers done, and we'll see how things look going into the new season. Okay, it is the end of the transfer window. Let's take a look and see who managed to bring in and who we let go. The first player today was a youngster of ours that came through the youth team, and we sold him for 450 grand to Rangers plus some kickbacks. The second player to go out was Rafael Haller for 1.6 million. Hidalgo did then leave to Sporting for 11 million, having signed for 5.5. Herrera ended up going for 4.7 million, which I thought was a pretty good deal, actually, considering we bought him for 925 grand and was a pretty good player for 3 seasons too. Our first choice goalkeeper, Gon Chalvez, has gone for £9 million, having been signed for 1.4, which is a pretty good deal, and it was a really good goalkeeper. It's a bit of a shame we had to let him go, really, but the amount of money that was offered, we couldn't turn it down, could we? 9 million's a pretty good deal. Daniel Gonzalez went for £7 million. I couldn't quite believe it. 7 million's a lot for a player that I wasn't too sure about. I thought he was good. I wasn't sure if he was great, but 7 million, again, I wasn't going to turn that down. 1.7 turned into 7. Pretty good deal for us. And the thing with these players, right, is they're not like wheel and deal transfers. These players are brought in, were productive in their stats output, and we moved on for a lot more money. But the whole point is they were productive with their stats too. At least the last 2 players we showed in Gonzalez, well, Hidalgo, Gonzalez, and Gonçalves. At the very least, in one of their seasons, they were very productive. I'd say Hidalgo maybe dropped a little bit in his last season, but yeah, good players anyway. I let Noah go for 600 grand, having signed on a free transfer. Just didn't really play, did he? Made quite a lot of sub appearances, but not many starts. Umbiamba has gone for £3.5 million. I did not anticipate on selling him quite so early. All 3.5 of this is in installments. All of it is going to be paid across the next 3 seasons. The reason for that is I had to use installments to pay for some players because of the transfer budget. So this was a way of like just eating back into that transfer deficit. So nice profit, money coming into the club for the next few years. Good deal. And Jonathan's went for £3 million. Again, a rare player that we're going to lose money on. There aren't too many of these, but he's going to be one of them. Signed for 4.8, wasn't quite the level we were looking for, and then goes for 3. Now then, transfers in. The first player that we signed was Ibarra for £1.9 million. He was brought in to be a left-back. He was the left-back that had really good stats for a left-back, but is probably a more centre-back profile player. He's going to come in and compete with our current left-back, the only left-back remaining at the club. And I thought it was a pretty good deal for £1.9 million. Very young as well. He's been really like a bits and pieces player for 2 seasons already at his previous club, and he's only 18 years of age, so really good signing. And could be club homegrown too as well, if he stays with us for enough time. Patrick was signed for £8 million. I think he's going to be a really, really good player. Is he worth 8 million? I don't know. Right now it says his valuation is almost double that, but we'll see how his performances go. Some of his reports, it says he can play wide. It says he's agile, but it doesn't mention if he's quick. So I think he is more like a traditional number 10. Can play as a pivot as well if needs be. I hope he's an excellent player. I've got good feelings about him. Jose Salcedo was the right back that we signed. We'd already looked at and scouted. So hopefully he comes in and does a good job. Andrew, the goalkeeper, comes in for £2 million. A Moneyball legend of the Paris FC series. He comes in. Looking forward to seeing how he does for us over the next few seasons. Basically was able to come in and allow us to move the goalkeeper on. But that money that we got then allowed us to be able to invest in other positions too. So looking forward to seeing if Andrew can at least not be a massive downgrade on statistical output. As long as his output is roughly the same, I'm happy. Alfred Veliz, the centre-back, joins us for £2.1 million. This could be an overpay. I don't know. He's very young. He did have good stats. He has played for 2 years in the Chilean top division. So I'm hopeful. But it could be that we end up selling him for less, or it could be Wonder Kid. I honestly don't know right now. What do the coaches think? They think he could be quite a bit better than he currently is. So there you are. Maro Ulloa. Now, I think he's more likely to be a Wonder Kid just based on the fact that he cost us 8.5 and the fact he's now worth this, and he's playing for the Argentine under-20s. I would suspect that he's more likely to be a hit, but 8 million is quite a big amount of money. I feel pretty confident he's going to be good. He was playing for he's playing in the top tier in Argentina already at the age of, I think he was 18. Was he 18 at the time? They just turned 19, but yeah, it looks really good. Those are going to be your two centre-backs that I've just showed you. What I'll likely do is play them together, and it might mean that initially we have a bit of a drop in performance and result, but then again, I say that. The issue last year was that we couldn't bloody stop goals going in, so how much worse could it be? I don't know. Jesper Unenkun comes in for £2.4 million. Now, he comes in just to be a backup to our current number 9, but what he's really good at, and he's good for the squad, is that last year, if the starting striker was ever out, there was a monumental drop from starter to backup. What he gives us is a almost equal. In fact, I don't know which one the manager's going to select. I think they really do rate him really highly. I had no idea he was this good. I don't think the scouts even recommended that he was this good. I think they were saying a lot less than this when I scouted him. But the coaches and scouts have a different opinion. You look at that. Currently, right now, it looks like he's as good as Lincoln and could be better in the future. So be interesting to see who he selects out of the two. Jason Rojas comes in for £3 million from Colo Colo. We might end up losing a bit of money on him, but I wanted one established centre-back to be an option to bring in if we needed. It looks like, though, with these two traits here, maybe he's more of a right-back than he is a centre-back. So there is potential that he ends up being more like a right-back than a centre-back, but we'll see. Last but not least, Lazar Mitrovic comes in for £7 million. He was the winger with unbelievable stats in our own division last year. £7 million he comes in for, and I think he's going to be really good. And that is going to be your total transfers in. Now, there's a few players that I missed out on, the players out, the youngsters that don't really matter too much. But that's going to be a squad anyway. But that is your squad anyway for the season. Now, what I like about this, right, is that if you look at the striker down, and thinking about the fact that the attacking positions were really the issue. Well, not the striker necessarily, but anyway. For the first time this season, I think of all the seasons, we've got a starting striker that we really like, and we've been able to keep him, and we've added somebody who's going to be somebody to challenge him and be like the next player in line. Normally, if we bring in somebody who's just as good as the current starter, it's because that starter has to leave or is leaving, right? But this time, we've been able to keep our starting striker and bring in somebody now who's a much better backup. So all that does is that should logically improve our performance as a team. The same thing for number 10s. We've got Krastev still at the club, but we also now have Patrick too, so that no matter which one of those two plays, again, there shouldn't be this huge drop-off at number 10. And also one of them could play wide or could play pivot too if needs be. On the wing, we've still got Cerdes. We've still got one of our starting wingers. And he's been replaced. And on the other side, we've lost one of our starters. But Mitrovic is somebody who's coming in not only with great stats, but stats in our own division anyway, just with a different team. So that should be pretty good too. The only concern I have for them is if either winger is out, Oviedo is the next winger in line. So, and in fact, because he's now more like a winger, let's put him onto the left wing now so he learns to play both sides in case he's needed on either one. What's really interesting is that Marco Silva appointed Ayrton Ernst as captain, right? So you'd think that, okay, well, that must mean he's ready to start him, right? In the matches, in the friendlies. No, it's not. So he's appointed him as captain and he still doesn't start him. So not quite sure what Marco Silva's going for. But anyway. Right. Let's watch the first game of the season. Okay, so as usual, I'm not going to select any players for the first game of the season. It's completely up to the manager. However, long term, I will be making him select Joa and Veliz both at centre-back, because I'm sure he's going to select Rojas instead at centre-back, or I think he will. But I want those two to play, because even if they're slightly worse at the start, that's the difference now, right? Is that, let's say, for example, it's another pretty poor season. We finished 5th, right? Again, just outside Europe. And we finished 5th just outside the European places. The difference now is that if we were to do that, the players that we've got are going to improve. We've got 19-year-olds, 18-year-old players, 18-year-old midfield players. We've got young players that are going to improve. Before, we had players that we weren't really sure if they'd improve. They could be having a good season one season, bad season the next. Now, players could have an up and down season, but logically, the players should be improving quite a bit. So we should start seeing a logical improvement season on season. Either that, or they're going to get sold for a lot of money, and we can really invest into the squad and make it better again anyway. So I think we're in a good position now. I finally think we're in a good position. Does it translate to results? I have no idea. I wouldn't even want to presume that based on how the series has gone so far in terms of the manager's results. I feel like we've done a pretty good job, like, as general manager, and I just feel like the results haven't been there on the pitch from the managers, but we'll see how it goes this season. First game of the season, Westerlo, who were in the championship group last year at home. You think it should be a win, wouldn't you? But let's see what happens. Here we go then, first game of the season, and the team is the following. Andrew in goal with Ibarra, Vélez, Ulloa. He has played them both together, and he's played Rojas right back, which is not going to be happening much longer. He's actually started Ernst. I don't believe it. He's actually started Ernst in the pivot positions with Mateus, Krastev as a 10, Lincoln on the left, okay, Cerdes on the right, Unekin up front. That's a very different selection to what I would have gone for. Ultimately, he can be as creative as he wants. If he doesn't win the game, then, I don't want to sack a manager halfway through the season again, but let's just say we better be at the top of the table. That's all I'm going to say. Going into that January transfer window, it costs a lot of money to sack him as well, by the way, because he's got a lot more. He's getting paid a lot more than the previous manager. And we'll see what happens here. They play across the right-hand side, but our right, their left. They're going to get a chance to play it through. They go past us like we're not even there. They get a shot away, it just goes wide. One thing that's very different to Fabregas's team is we don't really keep possession much at all. Like, it's quite a drastic change from the two managers. He's brought Patrick on after him. I thought he might do because our starting number 10 was a bit tired going into the game, but we've got the ball here. Rojas has it. Turns and plays backwards into Ulloa. I'm just going to call him Ulloa. I think that's how you pronounce that. Mateus into Vélez. Vélez up to Ibarra. Okay, Ibarra. They're all set. We've got basically 4 centre-backs across the back here, which is very on brand, isn't it, for modern football. Mateus clips it. Unekin scores. Yes, sure he does. Come on. Unekin scores a header. It's going to be 1-0 to Union. We'll take that. I do remember, though, a game relatively recently where I got quite excited in the first game. It was the first game of last season. We went 2-0 up and then lost 3-2. I think so. But we're 1-0 up anyway. So he's gone Patrick wide left. Lorenzo as 10. Okay. Mateus with a corner. Whips it towards the far post. Velez goes up, goes towards goal. Patrick gets headed away. Hits the bar. Did it over the bar. Got out for a corner. But this new young, fresh back four seems to be doing the business. And goalkeeper. To be fair, the whole back four and goalkeeper are different this year, which normally in previous years would have been a potential risk because we were such a good team out of possession. But last year we weren't at all. But I think it was structure more than anything. But top level players can get you out of bad structures, right? Like at Van Dijk at Liverpool. There are times where Klopp's Liverpool were exposed a lot on the counter, but you had players like Van Dijk, so good in transition, so good at stopping attacks, that you can, like, top level players can make up for it. Kyle Walker at City's times as well. Quite often City are well structured when they have the ball, but when they don't, Kyle Walker really does help bail them out in those moments. So maybe we've got players that are better in transition. I don't know. They're not necessarily quick though. I had a look at their profiles. Not one of the defenders did it mention speed except for Rojas, who I assume has got maybe good pace but not acceleration. I don't know though. He might have been another Moneyball player from before. I recognise him, but I don't remember him, if that makes sense. Finishes 1-0 anyway to us. We'll take the win for the first game of the season. Forgive me for not being more excited about that, because whenever we get positive stuff going, it seems to undo itself relatively quickly. But that's good. We'll take that. 1-0 win, first game of the season. Pretty much in control the entire time. And we're playing against a newly promoted side next. Maybe it's a good chance to get 3 wins out of 3, Maybe it could be off to a really good start here. But yeah, anyway. Right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to play these games off camera. And like I always say, if any transfer activity happens between now and the Ghent game, you'll come back with me and we'll go through it together. But quite often, nothing happens. How to start, I'm going to keep, because I want a backup left back for Ibarra if he's out that's left-footed. So I'm going to keep him. I'm going to now force him to play, I think, the 2 centre-backs, and I might force him to play Salcedo as the first choice. I think his Rojas is quite a bit better than Salcedo. Maybe I won't do that. Maybe I might just leave it for now, the back four, because if he's going to pick that back four, maybe that's fine. I was going to force him to play Salcedo, but maybe Rojas playing right back is the way to go. Yeah, I might leave it, actually. Let's leave it. I'm going to leave everything for the next couple of games, because I just want to see what he does, whether he keeps playing Ernst, for example. I also want to see if Ernst does play what stats he populates, but it's all interesting stuff. So I'll see you in a few weeks, and maybe even before then, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully we have a good start to the season, and we'll review the episode after the Ghent game. Quick update after 3 matches. Now, we've lost this game against Leuven, but I just want to point out early doors, before I forget, that we actually created 1.8 XG, which is pretty good, to be honest, better than what we normally do as a team. And they only scored from a penalty. It doesn't say it there, but I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, it was a penalty. So they had 2 shots, one of which was a penalty, and they had 0.91 XG. So they had really about 0.2, something like that, in totality. So interesting to see that we actually played well in that game, but lost, and we were a bit unfortunate, really. And the back four, I mean, did he just not play the right back, or was the right back out? And Rojas was on a new sub. Maybe I'm going to ask him to use Rojas as a right back, and we'll keep that back four going. Wow. At least won the last game. Yeah, not great. If we take a look at the Standard Liège game, we actually didn't give up that many chances, which is, I guess, a positive. It looks like now we're sort of solidifying back here, and we're struggling a bit up here. I actually think Krastev has been pretty poor if I look at his stats. Let's have a look. Has he still been... Yeah, like, look at this. Absolutely nothing going on here. If I were to now ask him to play... I'm going to ask him to play Patrick as the 10 when he's back from injury, and see if that does anything for us. And I'm going to ask him to play this guy back at striker again, I think. Because Lincoln is struggling for some reason. I think we'll do that. Got a player selected in each strata for him to play. I mean, Ernst, to be fair, I'm not really that bothered about that. We'll ask him to do that and see how that goes for the foreseeable. So before we end the episode, let's get through to the end of October. Let's get all the way through to the end of October, and let's see how the team is looking in a few weeks' time. It hasn't gone well, basically. We had a better October, I guess, but I mean... And the only reason we've done better in October is I actually did force him to play multiple players, and that seemed to have a slightly better response, I guess, to the results. Yeah, pretty good XG versus them in this game. Pretty good player performance, team performance too. 2-2 draw at home was disappointing. Let's take a quick look at the stats to see what happened, though. Didn't create anything in this game, but Patrick at least scored from the number 10 position, which is good. We then lost 2-1 away to a... Was that a last-minute goal? It was a last-minute goal. An even game, though. I mean, pretty even away from home. I mean, Oviedo's not doing well, is he, on the right-hand side? Cup game, don't care about looking at the stats for that one. And the league match here, relatively close game. Oviedo did actually score in this one, which is good to see. Patrick again playing well as a number 10. Lincoln's just not scoring this year. He's just not scoring at all. I mean, he's now got a 7 in 14 because he's got a hat-trick in the cup, so I'm not counting that. But yeah, okay, so that is going to do today's episode. It's had so much promise. It had so much promise, had such a good window, and, you know, same old story, really, isn't it? Right, next time then, we'll come back in November. We'll go through November fixtures, December fixtures, mid-season review, and then see what we are going to do from there. But yeah, pretty gutting. Are we relatively close? We won a couple of games. We won a couple of games, results went our way. We could end up around that sort of like, but we're always in that sort of like trying to get into this area here and then trying to attack late, but we need to do better. We need to do better against the top sides in particular. Like, there's just too many defeats there. But there we are. That's the situation. But anyway, that is going to do today. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the series, and I'll see you, of course, next time.
I got to let it go and just enjoy the show.